once they figure out a way to actually program quantum computing to run AI, you're gonna have a god.
It's fucked up.
I mean, you are. You're gonna have a god.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Mark Andreessen, and I've said this before, I apologize, but Mark Andreessen had a quote about an equation that quantum computing was able to solve, that if you took the entire universe, every molecule, every atom in the universe, and you converted that into a supercomputer, the entire universe would die of heat death before it could solve this problem. And quantum computing solved it in minutes.
Wow.
And the only thing that makes sense to them is that quantum computing is somehow or another tapping into the multiverse. And it's solving this equation using multiple universes and the information available in multiple universes simultaneously. What?
I know, it's hard to even like track.
Yeah, and this is just the version of it that we have in 2025.
Right, that we have right now.
And so this is an actual thing that's happened. And so most people aren't even aware what quantum computing means. So once this becomes not just one of these, but hundreds of these, and then they're scalable and they're attached to nuclear reactors, which is what they're proposing, they're going to have their own nuclear reactors, multiple nuclear reactors as power sources, because these things require insane amounts of power to run. Then the quantum computing, once it becomes sentient, is going to develop a much better version of itself.
Of course.
And that's going to scale up, and it's going to like...
But you know what we're always going to need? Plumbing, carpentry. That's why all this shit feels so intimidating, because I can never wrap my head around that, but maybe we should be learning real skills and trades.
Well, that would be nice for people. But people are going to be obsolete.
Right.
You know, that's really what's happening, is we're giving birth to a digital life form that's far superior and doesn't have all the requirements that we have, and also doesn't have all the flaws that we have.
Yeah.
Doesn't have greed and anger and all the stupid things that we have.
Doesn't get tired.
Yeah. Doesn't get jealous, doesn't have lust, doesn't have jealousy and envy, isn't, you know, depressed.
I think we're far away from that.
Yeah, probably a couple weeks.
Yeah, probably.
The thing is, once it happens, it's going to be so fast.
Yeah.
It's going to be so hard to track. If you think like the Industrial Revolution, like comparatively, if you look at like the history of the human race, you go from Stone Age people to Bronze Age, you go through all the different wars, all the different, and then in the last 200 years, everything changes radically.
Right.
Radically. In the last 20 years, information changes radically. This is going to be like 20 seconds. This is going to be like one day.
Right.
It's up and running, and it's completely in control of everything. Completely in control of power, completely in control of information, completely in control of transportation.
Water distribution.
Yeah. Every car you have on the road today that's, you know, within the last 15, 20 years has computers in it.
Yeah.
If we all give in to our God AI, we'll be fine. We all just need to submit to the chip and become a part of the hive mind, and everyone's going to read each other's minds, and there'll be no more secrets, and there'll be no more violence.
They really want us to do AI.
Oh yeah, everybody does.
It is like,
it's inevitable, man.
I know, but even I write an email now, and it's like, you want us to polish this thing, and it's like, I don't even want you anywhere near me.
Right. I know. Well, you know, Samsung, they were the first to wheel out AI with their Galaxy S24 Ultra.
Okay.
I have two phones. I have an iPhone and I have a Galaxy phone. And what I really like about the Galaxy phone is if I use Samsung's browser, I can go on websites and it gives me a summary. So instead of like reading this long-winded, blah, 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 tell me what you figured out, and then I can get a summary, and then I can, oh, they've realized that Earth is actually blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Oh, okay, cool. It's like quicker.
Right.
And then it also does a lot of things. It transcribes things. It translates things in other languages. It translates it directly into your ear if you have the Galaxy earbuds.
Crazy.
Pretty fucking crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It's wild shit, man. And this is just the beginning of this stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, essentially, when you have ChatGPT or Grok on your phone, you have access to the most insane amount of answering power that a human being's ever experienced.
Yeah.
We could ask it questions about what was the reason why Columbus, and then it'll give you a fucking historical, detailed 5,000-word essay on what went down. You're like, this is nuts.
But it's only as good as the food it's been fed, correct?
Right.
Right.
Well, that's why Google had abandoned theirs.
Because it kept me. Oh yeah, was that the like show me a Nazi or whatever? And it was like a beautiful black woman or something.
Yeah, it was a Native American woman Nazi. It was a Chinese lady Nazi.
We covered that on the show. That was a trip.
But that was just a good example of wokeness. And ideology interfering with information. Like, that's crazy. Nazis look like German men. Should make them look like German men, you fucking idiots.
Yeah.
This is dumb. But this, like...
But they won't say bye-bye. They'll just come back with a newer version that doesn't do that.
Well, certainly they did. I mean, Google Gemini is one of the search engines. I mean, if you have an Android phone and you press that button and you ask Google a question, it's Google Gemini.
Yeah.
So they've fixed that.
They've fixed that.
But it's also like, how much did you fix it? Did you get it out 100%? Is this objective information? If I want to ask a question about a controversial subject, will you give me the real data?
Yeah.
Or will you give me some whitewashed bullshit version of it that's supposed to be acceptable today? Like, I want to know what's going on.
My Wikipedia page has said that I'm Greek for as long as I'm alive. Greek women show up to my shows. These beautiful Greek women.
Like
they have dessert. Greek people. It's never. No one's ever fucking checked. I'm not Greek. And
but Kostas is such a Greek
I know.
name.
Exactly. It makes perfect sense. It fits with the ideology or the idea that, you know.
Yeah.
And somebody wrote an article once that I was Greek. No, you know, it was like a blog that showed a picture of me. And no one checked, and it's just kept spiraling. And it's like really funny for me after the show. These beautiful Greek people come up and they say, "We're so happy," and they say, "Where are your parents from?" and all this shit. And I go, "We're fucking Ukrainian. I don't want to tell you. You know, thanks for the dessert." But
do they get a sourpuss?
Huh?
Do they get a sourpuss? Like,
yeah, or they'll be like, "No." What's funny is they'll go like, "No, he is." You know, like you are one of us. But the internet isn't always right, everybody. It's not. It's not. It's lots of times it's wrong.
Well, the internet is filled with purposeful misinformation today too.
Yeah.
Especially if you get on social media.
Holy shit, man.
So much of what social media is bots. And I don't think people even really truly understand it. We've covered it many times before, but there was an FBI, former FBI agent who examined Twitter interactions, and he estimated as much as 80% of it is bots.
Fake bullshit.
This is like when Elon was buying it, and they were trying to say it was 5%. Because there's no way it's 5%, because if you're an out-of-state actor, if you're a state actor from another country, you're from China, Russia, and you're involved in misinformation campaigns, you're going to be well-sourced. You're going to be well-resourced. You're going to probably have thousands and millions of accounts. Who knows? You're going to carpet bomb any sort of controversial subject with all sorts of propaganda. Of course they're going to do that. Of course. And right now, that's totally doable until you all submit to AI. Once you put the chip in your brain, then deception will be impossible. We will eliminate one of the biggest problems in society. You just have to take the leap of faith. And there'll be like an infomercial, the leap of faith. And then you see the guy sitting there.
Dude, it's always like the image of AI. It's always like a door is opening and it's bright light. And I know.
Come to Jesus. Yeah, it's tricky because it's inevitable. They can't not do it because China's going to do it. The power that AI is going to have over populations and with the distribution of information is going to be unprecedented. Also, you're never going to know what's real and what's not in terms of like news stories, because they'll be able to concoct fake news stories that will be indistinguishable. It'll look just like a real plane crash. It'll look like a real missile hit something. It'll look like things, and it won't have ever happened.